Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Valeria, are you there? Rida, and our representative today, Nandaka. All right. Thank you. Now we got 51 participants on Zoom, and I think there are some of them also on Facebook. All right, maybe we start the webinar. So good afternoon and welcome everybody to ASEAN Young Architects Webinar Series 2021 with the theme of the future of sustainability. So actually we are extremely grateful for today's participations, actually the whole sessions here for our incredible speakers. We will have 7 speakers and we still have 5 remaining speakers including today. And today, special. Our today's speaker is very special from Colombia. Is architect Valeria Ortiz. I would like to thank also to Valeria for sharing and giving her time to share with us a lot of things and the insights here in our webinar. I would like also thank you to our chairman ACYA, Architect Rida Razak from Malaysia, and the representative today, Architect Nandaka from SLIA Sri Lanka. And then just a bit announcement. Actually, before we only have 6 speakers during these sessions, all the sessions starting with the 19 June 2021 with Janat from Bangladesh. And it should be ended in 24 July. However, because due to some unexpected reasons, so Rida Razak, it was supposed to be in 24 July. We will shift the session to 31st July. However, we will have a new speaker for 24th July, which is Yang. He's a very amazing, talented young urban planner and landscape designer from China. And the moderator will be helped by Yile Chang from China as well. She's the candidate of MSc IST from National University of Singapore. So this will be very amazing sessions as well. And just if you already registered for the 24th July before on Zoom, if you want to join a Yang session, it's actually you just join because you already registered on Zoom. However, if you want to join Rida session also in the 31st July, please do visit our website for another registrations, which is here, the bit.ly/Yang webinar. And you can register again for the session in 31st July. Okay, so it's very good today. I hope that everybody now well. Please stay healthy. And then today is a good weekend also. And of course, I want to say thank you to all the webinar participants who's attend here on Zoom or those who are attending on the Facebook live streaming. So before we start the webinar, I would like to gently remind you that also today's session is actually being recorded to be available for the viewing post-webinar. And if you have any questions, please just type on the chat box on the Zoom webinar, and then you can just type at any moments during the session. However, we will hold most of the question until the end of the session. And then I will read the question for the presenter to answer, or if you just want to speak out your burning questions directly to the speaker, please let me know as well on the chat box. Also, please keep yourself muted during the webinar, except when the moderator gives you the permission to speak. And as for the opening, I would like to invite the representative of ACYA, Architect Nandaka from Sri Lanka, to give a short opening speech. Yeah, Nandaka, please.
Thank you, Architect Desta. Greetings from ACYA, the Arcasia Committee on Young Architects. Welcome to our webinar series, The Future of Sustainability. And this is a very relevant topic to all of us in this day and age. And if there's something that probably the events of the past year has taught all of us, is the need to stay updated and to make use of the time that we seem to be having in our hands to invest in ourselves. This lecture series, which is organized by ACYA, looks at doing just that. And we hope that in keeping with the spirit of Arcasia, we are able to draw from a collective experience. And in this process, we are also able to inspire each other. I'm actually particularly excited to see the work from halfway around the world, Colombia, and I'm sure we will have much to take back to our own countries, to our own practices, and to be able to draw from it. And with that, I give the proceedings back to Desta from IAI, and I'm sure today's webinar will be something which will inspire us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandaka. Thank you so much. Okay, so I just want to gently remind also that this webinar is actually supported by ACYA, Arcasia Committee on Young Architects, and then Indonesia Institute of Architects, Yogyakarta chapter, and Yogyakarta Young Architect Forum, and also powered by Extalia Hobbies. Okay, I think that's the brief. Just a bit introduction about me. I'll be moderating this webinar as well for the third time. I'm Primavera Desta from Indonesia. I am a registered architect from Indonesia also, and an entrepreneur. So before we start, just a little bit brief about sustainability, and this is like the reason why actually ACYA and all of us are being here, and why we also try to hold this kind of webinar event. So basically, sustainability is kind of a trend words these days. Like a lot of people are using these words for many subjects. In the social media, we can see in the internet, we also easily can find the words of sustainability. However, actually, do we really understand what the meanings of the sustainability itself? And then like what can we do and what kind of actions that is actually can really contribute on these sustainability movements. So following through the sustainability is actually not very easy, but of course there is no time to waste in the handling this kind of issues like the climate change, the sea level rise, the food scarcity, and the other sustainability issues. So as we know that actually some countries have already focused their way towards the sustainability movements to achieve more environmentally and livable city. So when one of the country has a really good top regulations working on these directions, of course, still the bottom-up movement will always be needed. In contrary, when the top-down isn't yet moved, then the bottom-up initiatives will be the main engine to trigger for the bigger actions. Even though it's really small actions, but it will be very, very needed. So when we see these images, like these all are actually just a little parts of the impacts of the global warming and the climate change caused by the human activities. And if we see this chart really show how our global temperature is actually gradually increasing. And this is a really serious problem for all of us. And the data from the World Resource Institute is actually showing that a half a degree of the warming is really makes a big difference. Like for example here, the extreme heat, just by increasing 0.5 degrees Celsius, it will be like 2.6 times worse. And then you can see there that we will lose a lot of species. We will lose a lot of species on the vertebrates, in the plants, in the insects. We will lose that kind of percentage of ecosystems in the whole world. So basically, this is a very, very serious problem for all of us. And not only the environment thing that is being impacted by the climate change and the global warming. So like the social and economic aspects and also the other subjects are actually impacted as well. Like for example, so many costs have to spend to adapt to the sea level rise. For example, in Singapore, in the Marina Barrage, they built the Marina Barrage just to tackle the sea level rise in the future. But this costs the Singapore government also spending a lot of money on this. And maybe they will have another strategy like building a barrier island or kind of that things. It's also will spend a lot of money. And also, we don't know yet about what is the other impact actually by building this kind of strategy. The other thing is like the shrinking productivity of the harvest. It's also have a related to the food and then the poverty. And it will be cause the another problem, which is the equity in the whole world. And the other things, if we see now we are living in the world which is, you know, everywhere is about disease, about the COVID-19, about the virus. It might be also one of the impact of the climate change. Who knows? So as a young millennial architects, designers, urban planners, and as a citizen of the earth, so what we can do? What we can do to be more involved in this, like healing our world, right? So this image is one of the images taken from the top of the Medellin city in Colombia. Actually, Colombia, for those who doesn't know yet about Colombia, Colombia is one of the country, really beautiful country located in the South America. So today is very special because our speaker is come from Colombia, and as we know, Colombia is listed as one of the mega diverse countries, hosting close to 10% of the planet's biodiversity. So with this super rich biodiversity and ecosystems, how the architects in Colombia is actually doing their practice in sustainability. So today, very special, our speaker is architect Valeria Ortiz, is a Colombian young architect. She lives in Medellin City. She worked at the FICE and ALH Taller Studio before she now is pursuing the master degree in the NUS, National University of Singapore, in the program of Integrated Sustainable Design. And now she's also worked as an intern while waiting for the next semester in Pombre Studio, Singapore. So I think that's all the brief. Now it's time to meet Valeria. So Valeria, are you there? Okay, great.
Hi there, Desta.
Hi Valeria, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, sweetie.
Yes, okay, thank you so much. So I think I will pass the time to you. You can just share the screen. Thank you. All right.
Okay. First, I wanted to start. I have my WWF Foundation t-shirt. It's not a promoted thing, just that I like to contribute. And here is my favorite teddy ever, the shark, favorite animal. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Valeria, architect from Colombia, and I want to introduce you to my personal path to sustainability. It's a path that is still under construction, and I hope you can have a takeaway out of all this that I'm going to transfer you by my passion. And yes, if you see the picture, there's a dog. That's my baby. Her name is Selva, which means jungle in Spanish. Okay. So after graduation of my dream profession, architecture, I realized two things. One, I had no basic financial education to create my own firm, path taken by many in this profession. But that's why I decided to do a diploma of basic financials for non-financials. And two, along my whole career, sustainability was mentioned only one time. And as a nature lover, I needed to know more about it. My vision in that moment was to get a work experience to later go abroad and learn more about the subject. 4 years later, I decided to come to Asia. After having the chance of living in America and Europe, this was a new world for me. I wanted to discover. And I was sure that knowledge was awaiting for me. I chose Singapore, the forefront country in Asian sustainability, where I saw the future. High-tech architecture with nature incorporation. I would like to begin this with the concept of sustainable construction as the design and construction of buildings that aim to integrate environmental and social criteria that have a positive impact on their inhabitants, reduce the consumption of natural resources and raw materials, and benefit the relationship with the environment. Additionally, to be conscious that this creative and important sensible career is the one that produces 39% of global emissions, which 28 are attributed to operating buildings in terms like heating, cooling, lighting, and 11% for projects under construction, which means waste generation, water use, dust creation, and greenhouse emissions. So what inspired me to take this path? First, this Pachamama. Anyone who knows me knows already the meaning of this word because I say it, I think, 100,000 a day. It means Mother Earth in Inca's language, that it's an indigenous tribe from Peru. I am a nature lover who wants to protect it. And the second was vernacular architecture, the indigenous architecture whose knowledge speaks of deep understanding on the context together with a balance with nature. So continuing with my path, growing with Colombia is more or less this color palette that you're seeing in the screen. It makes you get in love with nature, eager to protect it, joyful, and you want just to protect and enjoy. So I'm going to show you a few examples of indigenous architecture located in Mexico, Peru, and Colombia. I included for your reference the Singapore and Indonesian area. For most of the audience are there, except in my family. That's the only one who woke up at 1 a.m. from my part of Colombia. So I'm going to introduce you to this vernacular architecture. Through these images, we can see how indigenous had a great understanding of their environment. These terraces, for example, in the first images, help prevent erosion, increase the amount of flat land, and soften the effect of climatic variation. Moreover, the understood of their materials spec was incredible. Sorry. They built like a Lego style technique using heavy rocks that provided stability, and also they create important visuals of their surroundings, as I like to call landscape as a material. So here are another examples where show that how these techniques and knowledge of their environment allow them to create equinoxes events as the descendant of the serpent god Quetzalcoatl in Chichen Itza that you can see in the first image. Incredible constructions up in the mountain, as in the construction of Ollantaytambo in Peru, and an amazing integration between nature and construction in Lost City in Colombia. So what should you know about Colombia? In the first part, you can see information related with surface, population, and density with a high contrast with Indonesia, one of the most populated countries of the world. Next, I will introduce you some biodiversity facts. So Colombia holds the first and second place in species diversity and is the second most biodiverse country in the world, being Brazil the first one, which is 7 times bigger than Colombia. Colombia biodiversity, corresponding to 10% of the earth, is not only important for the country's natural heritage and the preservation of unique species in the world, it is also essential for its function and processes, providing direct use goods as services such as food, medicine, fuel, wood, and water, as well as indirect use services such as climate regulation, prevention of disasters, soil formation, water purification, and recreation. As some of you must know, Colombia had a very difficult period of time with guerrilla, a violence group who located themselves in Colombian forest. They did very wrong to our people, but they did protect their natural areas. If you can see here, both maps, point the pen. If you can see here, both maps, the areas where the FARC was located are also the areas of the intact biodiversity in our country. So when they were there, jungles that were once cleared from farmland grew back to be jungle. And this goes that far that the government analysis found that deforestation increased by 44% the year of the Peace Accord. Moreover, sorry. Moreover, Colombia diverse topography, thanks to the Andes mountain range, creates different ecosystems and climate. In terms of climate, thanks to the country's close proximity to the equator, temperatures vary little through the year. The only variable is the amount of annual precipitation we have. There are 5 thermal flows, each inhabited by unique species and agricultural production. In total, there are 91 types of ecosystems and 53% of our territory is covered by forest. It's a little bit heavy. Wait. Sorry. Oh my God. Se me trabó. No me pasa la otra diapositiva.
Recording in progress. Lebih cepat kita di Google.
Oh, now, I'm sorry. So these are other facts of Colombia. Colombia has the largest extension of moorlands, one of the most important ecosystems for human. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. One of the most important ecosystems of human well-being. Oh, sorry.
Don't worry, Valeria. I think some of your image is like a big size, right? I think.
Yes. Oh my God.
No, just wait. Yeah.
So wait, I need to stop sharing. I need to start screen share. Yeah, okay, so I'm so sorry for this interruption. I'm going to go back with this. So Colombia has the largest extension of moorlands, one of the most important ecosystems for human well-being because it's the source of water for many people. They represent 2% of the territory of ours. On the other hand, we also hold the world's largest protected tropical rainforest national park, La Serranía de Chiribiquete, located in the Amazons. It's culturally significant for indigenous communities and contains one of the oldest, largest, and densest archaeological phytographic complexes in the Americas. You can see like these amazing images of this country that makes you understand the immense biodiversity we have. We have nowadays some threats. One of them are weak environmental policies, conflict with indigenous, reprimarization of the economy, which includes activities such as cattle, agriculture, and mining, climate change, and land use planning. So the construction in Colombia, they demand 14% of potable water, 40% of raw materials, and 72% of electricity, and it generates 30% of waste and 49% of the CO2 emissions. However, the country is incentivizing the sustainable construction, and we are now the 4th in Latin America. I had the amazing opportunity of working with the architect Santiago Arango, leader in ACYA architecture. He showed me a way of creating architecture that integrates with nature. So I'm going to show you a little bit of my work experience. The first project is Matorral, the most awarded building in the office. It's the first one built, and it's a building besides a natural stream that you can see over here. It's placed in a very organic way in the city, and you can see how it respects the site and increments the ecological connections. As you can see in the image, the building responded to its neighborhood and neighbor emplacement. And to this environment by enhancing connectivity with greenery. A space where nature is construction material, and the planting walls are also part of the painting walls are also greenery. A facility to grab a lemon or watch birds directly from your house. An impression of being in a first world house, but in heights. That's what we intended to create. Moreover, we have Casanua, a senior home project with its certification. We had a floor plan that allowed people from different floors to connect with each other by implementing a common space that varied functions along the building. This Casanua project had different functions in this common area, included library, barbershop, church, among others. Here you can see the use of materialities and design features as recessed windows that creates a nice functional space to live in. Then we have El Terral. This is a housing project under construction that proposes patios that wave with balconies among the different floors and uses wisely the slope condition, as you can see here. Slope condition is a normal condition in our biodiverse country. Here are other images of the building where you can see how vegetation is integrated and how full height windows allows better connection to the outdoor. Then the C+N house is a place located among trees and natural landscape. The house opens to the exterior and mixes solid and solid materials, looking to integrate with the environment without being invasive. You see how people can decide how much to connect, how landscape becomes a material, how the projection of the landscape is also the most important thing that attributes to the houses. ACYA, as I showed you, made me the architect that I am today. I learned how architecture and nature can complement each other. Nonetheless, with my colleague, we decided to take this interaction one step further into sustainability. We are both pursuing Master on Sustainable Architecture. The name of the office, FICE, links me back to the indigenous connection I told you about before. The fique is a strong, durable fiber obtained from the leaves of succulent tropical American plant. It was used by indigenous people to make garments, robes, and hammocks, among other things. Our purpose is to produce good biophilical architecture that integrates sustainability as an important pillar. I'm going to introduce you to this house, Pachifula. It's located in La Ceja in a cold and humid thermal floor having an average temperature of 16 degrees, with a precipitation of 2,000 and 3,000 millimeters a year. I have very heavy images, it seems.
No worry.
So this side has very beautiful landscape with some distinctions. On the left, there is a wider open landscapes that you can allow to see the back of the mountains, a place ideal for the social area, enjoying the view with a chimney, a bottle of wine, and good company. On the center, the attraction goes directly to the big tree and the ones that follow, an ideal space for welcoming you to the house and giving you a small taste of what you're going to encounter in as landscape. And on the right, a more intimate forest for the house owner to enjoy herself, a private, wild, and mystic area that enjoys the sounds of water, a natural experience, and in my point of view, an excellent place to take a naked shower and with blurry lines between the inside and the outside. So taking this into account and understanding the lot's condition, the strategy consisted on profiting of the last sunny rays every day to maintain the house warmer for the night and have a cross ventilation that the owner could control depending on how warm or cold days are, and to maintain the house healthy and fresh. So one, the water body creates a more humid and fresh environment. Windows are full height open to receive the freshness and natural light as well. On the other hand, predominant winds that comes from the northeast and southeast produces a good ventilation, not too much considering the climate. That's why the rooms are located on a different location and have the corridor as a buffer. Corridor serve as cross ventilation or a barrier for external conditions. It's a question of opening and closing the windows. For avoiding the high loss of temperature, we planted some walls with a degree inclination. That helps us capturing wind, capturing light, but controlling and avoiding the loss of temperature. Okay. Guys, it's charging.
No worry, we will wait for the very amazing images.
Sorry, be patient.
So this one is actually the project which is you've done with your college, is it?
Yeah, this is the
Right.
personal project.
Okay, we can see now.
Okay, I maybe skipped too much. It's a very heavy project.
I know.
I'm sorry, guys.
Is it under constructions or?
Yeah, the construction already begun.
I see. So amazing. Okay.
So in terms of sun path, taking into account that the average temperature is 16 centigrade and having understood that the sun's inclination varies along the year and rises from east to west, the strategy, as mentioned before, is profiting of sunlight for making the house warmer. In tropical, special care must be taken to maximize the effective daylight while minimizing the visual discomfort and maintaining the facade's thermal efficiency. For this purpose, we created an overhang that feature from the terrace and recessed windows in the rooms. Walls with rotated angle together with double skins helps us controlling sunlight entering and helping avoid the loss of temperature. The effective daylight reaches all the spaces, which is an important feature to have a healthy space and don't depend too much on artificial lighting. Here I'm going to show you the strategies of sustainable design. So first, solar panels in the roof as a source of energy. Second, rain harvesting for toilet flushing, landscape irrigation, props, and gargoyles. When I say gargoyles, yes, it's a gargoyle feature. As you can see here, our client wanted to have an artificial fountain in the house, so we decided to integrate it with the architecture itself. We directed the roof's water into these gargoyles, which this water is going to travel, create some sound because our client loves it, and is going to connect later to the stream that we have down. Then we have props, which serves as food production. Biophilic design is Biophilic design is also a very important feature. It talks about increasing the occupant connectivity with the natural environment. In this house, you don't feel trapped. Nature is one of the project materials, creating relaxing views all over. This is the room of my client, the principal room, which you can see from her bed, the landscape of this area and the landscape of this area, a full connection to the complete environment. And 5 and 6, we have thermal insulation in roof and walls to help us slow down the transfer of heat. Thermal mass is also present. That is the ability of store heat energy of brick and concrete, which help us stabilize the interior temperature. This can be done by using thick walls, as indigenous did. For last, well-being is the most essential goal. So these are some of the implementations of sustainable design that you can use while designing and creating not only a special space, but a healthy one. So this is the render of the access of the house. We played with materials, design features to create a livable house. This is the other side of the house where we can see how it connects with the environment. Here is the summary of what I expect to you. So nature lover, architect, biophilic office experiences that push me to go further in sustainability with personal projects, master on sustainability on architecture and aspirations. Now you understand why it's important to produce architecture that reduces impacts in our environment. Colombia is an amazing place that deserves to be protected, as well as every place around the earth. In my case, I want to continue learning more about sustainability and vernacular architecture and integrate it with good design architecture. In my short term, I want to continue learning from Asia, and some years later, I want to go back to Colombia to create a positive impact in my country. Fike is still ongoing, and we are designing projects. We are designing projects currently. My partner already finished her master, and she's living in Colombia. And for last, I want to have like this conclusion. As a young professional, I see the importance of saving the world, understanding the limiting carrying capacity of Earth, the high impact we have on it, the miracle conditions that created this environment, and that we are all together as equally important, we must contribute to conserve it. Here I have also my Instagram where I put all my adventures here in Singapore. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for having these heavy images that slow down our presentation. That's it.
Valeria, thank you so much. It was so amazing. So amazing. Actually, even though we already know each other for like 6 months, around 6 or 7 months. But this is actually my really first time to see what you were doing in the architectural things. Because like in the studio, we always talk about the urban scale, right? But
yes, we were all talking about the urban scale. We never went far enough to the project. That's the project we're gonna begin now.
Yes. Good luck for your next semester. It will be the building scale, but of course, I think you will just going through the semester very easily because you already have this kind of a very amazing experience, especially in the sustainability. Well, thank you, Valeria. Again, it's very inspiring, and I think now it's time for the Q&A session. So I just remind all the participants here, if you would like to ask questions, just put on the Zoom chat, or just let me know if you want to directly talk to Valeria. She's very beautiful lady, right? It's very rare have a situation, you can talk to her directly. So please use this this moment. And of course, I also already put the e-certificate link for today. So for those all participants who are attending this Zoom meeting, you are able to see the link. And then if you need the e-certificate, just please click the link and then fill out all the forms there. And then we will proceed your e-certificates for today's. In the 1 or 2 weeks after this webinar, we will put the links for all the certificates on the same website, which we open the registration. However, we will also let you know by the email. So, okay, I think it's time for the question and answer. Actually, Valeria, there's some requests here in the chat box. Dear speaker, please share your slides notes in the PDF format of further understanding and references. Appreciate your sharing. I think we need to discuss first whether Valeria is okay or not for this.
We will. Of course, I'm okay.
Okay, Valeria said okay. Thank you. Okay. So is there any other questions? Okay, this is from okay, I got some questions from the group, Valeria. As a young architect, how do you see the progression of a green movement in South America? Can you share some of the overview? What do you think?
Okay, in terms of Latin America, we have, for example, Brazil has a lot of sustainable projects. We also have Colombia in the first place. I think that Latin America is beginning to get involved with the sustainable construction movement. As as all the world, we are slowly getting into there, but certifications, easy certifications as Edge added to lead certificate has helped people to get more motivated because they have some financial aid with banks if they get certification. So this is really pushing the sustainability movement when real estate can see benefits from it. Sadly, if there's no money regard, most of people don't contribute to sustainability projects.
Exactly, exactly. So you said about a
But we're getting there.
lead and the age, right? So those two certificates that is actually mostly people use in Colombia, or is there any other things like the green marks, or just using those two?
There's also one that it's called CASA. It's a new sustainability certification that it's mostly used for high dense living houses. It's in this moment has 700 unities under this certification with 3 projects, but it's now getting on board with many of the constructors.
Okay, I see. Okay, so Valeria, there's another question. This is still about the government thing. How's the perception of sustainable architecture by the government and the public in the Colombia? Maybe you can share something.
As you saw in the presentation, we in Colombia have an immense biodiversity. We're used to have and being surrounded by nature. So at the beginning, our landscapes were full of bricks. But there are some architects, as my boss, that they decided to put more to it and integrated vegetation with construction. So now people are wanting to have balconies. They need to have planter boxes. Like the people are now demanding better architecture for them. And that also relates so much with the COVID times that we are facing in this moment. Like people need good spaces because most of our times we're spent it in the house.
I see.
So they now are looking and paying attention to this.
Okay, all right. So other than the incentives, maybe because of the lead and then the well and then CASA, maybe, right? It will be supported by the government also, right? So
Yeah.
So is there any action that is done or maybe now still ongoing doing by the government?
Is there any what?
Like the actions? It's not only that. Other than the incentives, like, is there any maybe in terms of urban scale or something like that? Because mostly we talk about building scale, right? So is there any any government action in terms of the urban scale thing?
Well, in urban scale, for example, you know that sustainability is not only incorporating nature, but it's also about social projects.
I see.
And in my city, Medellin, for example, we have very important social projects. That one of them is the metro, like the cable car that people use for snow. We use it for public transport in Colombia, in Medellin. And it's like a sustainable project if you see it because it's trying to connect people to the city. In terms of urban projects, we also have some projects that are helping us clean our rivers, but we are still very behind on that. There's a lot of effort that must be made into it.
Okay, all right. So amazing. Valeria, I think now I will invite Architect Rida Razak and Architect Nandaka also to join this discussion because Rida just messaged me that actually he has something to ask you. So I think
I mean, Valeria, what kind of projects are very popular in terms of sustainability in Colombia? Or majority of it is informal sustainability?
Well, that's a good question. For example, in terms of buildings that you'd like in design, they are usually edge certification that it's like easier to achieve. But we also have important enterprises as Isahen, like big enterprises that do have LEED gold certificated buildings. So there's a few, but like the most famous one, it's a very tricky question. I wouldn't say that there's one famous one, but you can have different icons in each city.
I mean, is some of the developers infusing sustainability features in the housing projects in Colombia?
Yes, because as I explained before, with the implementation of sustainability as lead and edge, it helps you win more customers. So because people are now like demanding having certifications when they are going to buy a house, well, some few, and that makes them have sustainable, invest in sustainable projects. And there's not much of all these features I explained before, because we are only beginning with this lead and edge process. But I feel that in small projects, people are already seeing the implementation of planter boxes, of open spaces, and like also it's very logic to design sustainably, but it's a logic that it's not too logic, if you know what I mean. Like, we are expecting to have cross ventilations all the time as an architect, and it's like something that you don't do because you want to have a certification. It's something that you learn in the university. Like, I hope all of us architects have this responsibility of creating a space that has the minimal things for it to work correctly, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Valeria, just now I saw some of the projects. Your planter box connect to the balcony and straight away to the big glass wall doors. So in my country, I think there's one question from Chong So Fat asking about requirement compliance. Like you don't have a railing, you can straight away design open and straight away have planter box. So that is the barrier. So how's the regulation like in Colombia?
No, actually, we should have railings. We should have that. Yeah, like if we present it to the government, the project does have railing.
I see.
But then when we construct it, sometimes we decide to avoid to put the railing. But yeah, we should have added the railing. But yeah, the experience you're telling about, it's completely true. Full high window, the vegetation incorporated in the same slab, so you can feel it with your feet.
Yeah.
That's what we are looking for. Yeah.
So at least it's a direct relationship with the plateau, because it looks very nice without having the railing from bottom to up. Yeah. Nandaka, you would like to add anything, Nandaka?
Yeah, it was a wonderful presentation, and I think it's lucky that you're in a country where, just like maybe Sri Lanka, you're lucky enough to being sustainable is just as simple as opening a door or a window. And it was just playing in my mind. There were various sort of environments that you showed in your country. What's the most important thing? Is it protection from the heat or protection from the cold, or is it the rain, which is the biggest factor that you need to factor in when creating a shelter?
I think that, can you repeat me the question?
Okay. So what I meant was, what's the most important aspect when designing a building in Colombia? For us, it's the heat and the humidity in Sri Lanka. But in Colombia, what is it? Is it the heat? Is it the cold? Or is it the rain?
It is the sunset and the heat. Like, as we have different climates, we have to take care. Like, think first in which condition you are. In the house that I showed you, that I designed with my colleague, we had a cold climate, so we needed to look for the sun path. But the sun path is like what follows all of our designs. If we have a building in the middle of the city where we have heat temperature, we have to avoid the big openings of the building in east and west, and we have to face the north-south to have the complete approach of the wind. A cross ventilation would be essential, because if you put the biggest facades through the east and west, you'll have a bad climate, and you're definitely are going to need to use aircon and that kind of stuff. And in Colombia, normally projects, well, and it depends on the place you are, but for example, in my city, Medellin, we do not have air cones mostly. So
that's amazing.
You do need to think wisely when you do the design. Like if you put it into east-west, it's gonna have a building that an interior not with not good quality, you know. So that's the most important, I'll say, the sun path.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's the temperature like, Valeria, in Colombia? The heat, the extreme and the cool climates.
Yeah, we have the 5 different zones. So we have from the coldest 0 degrees to the hottest for us that it's like 33, 35 degrees.
I see.
So it really depends in which place you are located. But it's magical because we do not have the seasons like Europe has or southwest part of the world, but we do have different climates to go just in a car. Like 1 hour you can go and travel to a cold area, 2 hours to a hot area again. You can just choose what do you want, take the car and get there.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
you also talk about the sunpad, right? So did you use any tools or any programs to begin with your design?
I would love to have these amazing softwares, but for the moment, like we only did like the study of where's the south, where's the east, looked in this internet, like where are the conditions of this area, like study a little bit of what information can provide internet with putting the exact location of the house, of course. Like when we did the studies for the house, for the land, analyzing the soil, we asked them to give us the exact coordinates so we could have more information about the conditions of the place. But it would be amazing to be able to use this full softwares that you can link into Revit. And yeah, we mostly work in Revit because I feel it's the new word for architecture. Like I feel AutoCAD, it's 2D dimension world, but when you get into Revit, you have the chance of analyzing the project in its complete integration with the technical team.
So it's already like a BIM thing, right?
Yeah, BIM team.
Okay, all right.
I feel is the future.
So the other thing that actually, make very interesting for me is the materials that you guys use. You mentioned it before. It's also like a brick, like you even your design is also using a lot of bricks, right? So
yeah.
Is it the local material there, and then maybe you have another reasons behind that we don't know why you use brick, and maybe like what kind of bricks or some maybe is there any something special with that bricks?
Okay, so we produce brick in Colombia. So we use it. That's the first reason. Second reason, it's cheap. The one that we used in our projects, it's a little bit more expensive because it's an artisanal brick. So it has like these fresh design where not all the bricks are equal. They all have different burnings, and it gives like a temperature to the building. I don't know if you feel a house with bricks. For us, it's like more warm, more welcoming. That's why we like to combine. In the house I just show you, we have the building with the block with brick for the rooms that gives like more colored sensation, and we have the concrete space for the social area, which gives like a different kind of ambiance. But the brick is used, as I told you, because it's also a good thermal mass insulation. It helps us control the temperature on the inside of the house, so it's also sustainable. Even if you may mean, it's more sustainable than concrete, for example.
However, for example, you have a project with the, multi-stories project, maybe until 30 or 40 stories, or maybe more. So is it, what kind of materials that you use? I don't know, like whether the bricks is still possible, or is there any sustainable or local materials that usually you use in the city or the other architects?
Yeah, well, we do use brick a lot, even in high rises. But that was like one of my questions when I first came to Singapore. I didn't understand why there was the use of so much glass and less brick because I was used to brick. And then they told me that they did very high multi-stories. So using brick will take too long and it will cost more. And it's also because the brick stability. But in Colombia, we don't have much technology at the points of introducing like new technological techniques as we have here in Singapore. We know how to use the brick, but it's true that the highest you go, it has some complexities. But we know how to use it. It's local material.
That's good. Valeria, I got a questions from one of the participants, but he sent me direct message, so maybe you cannot see. From Pak Teddy Sanyoto. So he's asking, is Colombia is a safe country? I mean, maybe in terms of the safety, same like as Singapore. Cause he saw most of the houses that you build in your designs is like an open design, and which is actually mostly in Indonesia we cannot find or we cannot implement this kind of strategy because in terms of the safety. So yes.
So you can have open houses in terms of safety?
I mean, like, for example, you have houses there, and then like a lot of open windows, of the doors very open, everything is very open, which is maybe it looks like in terms of safety, it's not really that safe because other people maybe just can come in every time and you don't know, maybe there's a thief or something.
Okay.
This is also part of the sustainability strategy, right? However, he said that in Indonesia, actually, it's really impossible, of course, because of the safety. We don't know. Maybe the other people will just come to your house and take something. So yeah.
Okay. Well, in terms of safety, we always advise our clients to use a camera web, like a camera surveillance system. And also we have like certain locks and alarms in all the facades. But what sometimes it depends on the lot condition, but we have neighborhoods of lots, so there's security for the whole complex of different lots. So that's one of the strategies. The other one, well, it's not the most secure country in the world, but we just have a gate usually.
All right.
But we do have to have a backup with camera surveillance and certain alarms. But yes, like it's made possible because we have sometimes big neighborhoods full of huge loads, so that makes it possible.
I see. Oh, that's interesting.
Valeria, what's the typology like for housing in Colombia? Because like when we Google Colombia housing, mostly the pictures are more looking to social housing. Is there like mass housing with gated communities, this kind of things? Yeah.
Well, in Colombia, we had a huge period of violence. So what happened is that the shopping malls.
Sorry, Valeria, we lost you. Okay, nice.
So you were asking me about
the typology of housings types other than the social housing and the big mansions. Because when we watch Netflix, we can always see that two typology, which is the social housing and the big, very big mansions. But we never get to see the in-betweens.
Yeah. Well, in Colombia, we have, of course, the big mansions. That it's kind of the two that I showed in the presentation. We also have private building houses that, for example, the ones in my office where I worked, it has top 18, the biggest, the Serral, it has 18 units in the same building. So if you can see, it's more of a low scale kind of building, but there's massive construction too, where you can find, for example, social interest house that they are what, I don't know, let's say 500 units in a same space, different blocks. So we have all the different skills because of course we also have our population is mostly poor, or yeah, and then we have a big middle class that can afford to have these buildings, but the ones that I showed you, it's literally a very segment portion of the population can afford them.
I see. So Valeria, just a bit questions like maybe I just wondering what is your opinion or from your perspective, um, because Singapore is like the first Asian country that you ever visited, right? And then like I remember when we have a same class, and even in the class you always argue with the professor. It's very cool because what you saw and what you heard here is, I think it's very different with with something that you can find in Colombia that you always do, like for example the bricks things and other things. But I just want to know, in your perspective, what is the biggest difference between Colombia and maybe Singapore, maybe if you want to compare, in terms, of course, the strategy of the sustainability, or how do they think about the sustainability itself?
Okay, so after seeing Singapore, I see the huge efforts of conserving all their natural spaces they have.
Hmm.
If I compare with my city of my country, like we have one of the luckiest biodiversity and amazing landscapes. So we think that we have it for granted, you know. We have for granted the natural landscapes. While the in Singapore, like as it's a very small country, they have a huge appreciation for each portion of their land. Like I remember when we were talking in the masters about, oh, we wish to have 50% of Singapore whole nature and 50% whole building. In this moment in Colombia, 53% of our territory is forest, is natural.
All right.
Reserves. So I'm like, okay, in this moment we have 50 and 50, but I feel we need to have a bigger number for nature spaces. Like it's a different challenges because the scale is completely different. So I feel that in Colombia we sometimes have for granted all these amazing natural resources that we have,
Hmm.
while in Singapore it's like a huge appreciation for every natural spaces they have. And I love here that they put a goal in their head, like, okay, let's clean rivers, and they did the cleaning of the rivers in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if I
It's
compare
about
with
the process.
my country,
Hmm.
we are trying, we are making our best, but there's a lot of difficult with the political parties. They stole money. They the culture of the people. We are still trying to show them nature is not for granted. You have to take care because if not, it's gonna be completely disappearing. So people are still not that conscious about the importance of nature and sustainability. But that's the step we're trying to go for further. Like, thanks God, sustainability is a big issue in Singapore because they have a small portion. So they do have to have the huge vision they have in this moment for designing the city.
I see. That's so interesting. Rida, what do you think? Maybe you want to compare also with Malaysia, or Nandaka, you want to compare with Sri Lanka?
Yeah, I think like if you compare to Singapore sustainability, because Singapore is the most top in Asia, I think in Asia, Singapore would be the highest ranking in terms of sustainability and technology. So I think it's very hard to compare, but
Mm-hmm.
other countries in Asia also is maybe quite similar, kan, right, Nandaka?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think the sentiment of the general public is seems to be the same across the board, and we seem to be facing the same problems. So it's interesting to see that even in Colombia is facing the same problems, um, and
Yeah, it's very
we
sad.
can only hope that maybe things change soon.
Yeah, that's why the importance of this type of conversations, like, so as to be conscious about how construction, that it's an amazing like field. It's the one of the most contaminant activities in the world, and like it's sad. Yeah, I'm an architect, but I want to create less impact in my activity. So it's important for everyone that gets involved into each of their different things they do, trying to contribute the most.
I guess
So
that's
here
the
I showed you some strategies.
yeah. I guess that's the dilemma of architect in terms of sustainability, to make impact but not so much impact.
So difficult. It's so difficult.
Yeah, it's so difficult, right?
But when we say like actually we already do something and this is the impact, like how do we know actually, right? Is there any tools to calculate or something?
To calculate the impact we're doing.
Yeah, I mean like of course like compared to we just design a house and then we design a house with the thinking of the sustainability. We hope that we will have the impact, right? So have you ever experienced or do some kind of research something to know actually okay with this design is actually you will put the impact to the earth.
Yeah, I think that even with lead and edge, like that's only the first step. Like if even if your building complies with this certification, it's not all of it, you know. It sometimes it doesn't have enough regulations. So it has to be more on us as architects and on our clients, because I know how challenging can it be to convince a client to, hey, let's use rainwater harvesting, let's use solar panels. This also affects the budget, even if they can have like a retribution in the longer term. It's a difficult conversation you have to have with your clients too. So it's part and part.
Valeria, there's a question from the participant. He's asking, in respect of building to be constructed, how or what code of practice to be referring in Colombia? I think in Singapore they have this regulation on building regulation, but in Colombia, do you have a similar type of? Is it a bylaw? Is it a regulation, or is it a document by the local government?
Yeah, we have a document that regulates like general construction, and also we have a sustainable chamber, as with my by translation, and this sustainable like Camacol is the one who regulates like what buildings have to have. We also have a procedure when you're designing. You have to go to like the it's called in Spanish, it's called curatorship. You have to bring your projects to curatorship. They have to accept your design in order to you construct it. You cannot construct without that permission. So yeah, we are being regulated, but this only regulates construction. And if you want to have a certification, or if you want to have some benefits with the banks, that you have to submit to the code of LEED, CASA, EDGE, that they are all also promoted by Kamakul. I hope, Chong Soon, that answered your question.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm seeing here that Bromel Usigain. I'm sorry because the languages here are very difficult for me. So if I don't pronounce it okay. That he's saying that sustainable architecture is recommended here in Philippines because temperatures could go up to 50% centigrade is high. I totally agree. I think that no matter what climate you have, you need to isolate your interior or use the exterior for having a balance. Like you always need sustainable architecture, no matter what's your temperature. And if you're having 15 C high, wow, that should have a very amazing passive design. But what I would say is if indigenous could make it with not technology, but just pure knowledge of the environment, we can make it. We have a lot of technology. We have all the books and research. I feel that architects have the power to contribute more than we do.
So
in all what indigenous were able to make.
All right. So amazing, Valeria. Actually, right, I think the discussion is also getting so interesting because you are the only one that is come from another part of the world. Because All right.
We seldom get the speaker from the other part of the world. So we're actually very curious about actually going there, visiting.
Yeah, you must.
So,
You must visit America. It's an amazing continent.
Yeah, I understand that that part of the world as well. When my sister and my family went to Bolivia, all those countries, they experienced earthquake. Does Colombia also have to be resilient in terms of its building?
We do need a resilience, but it depends in the place where you're locating your building. But we don't have that much situation. For example, in my city, we are surrounded by a chain of mountains that protect us from most of the disasters. But yeah, of course, we also need to have a compilance with the in case any events as earthquakes happen. Yeah, we almost have.
What would be the main natural disaster usually in Colombia?
The main what?
The main natural disaster. Is it flooding
We
or
have a lot of flooding, yeah, and we have also a sliding in our mountains.
slide, yeah.
We have a
erosion?
lot of slides actually because yeah, sometimes construction was not well done and it created instability in the mountains. So sliding, like, it's a common thing. You can hear how we have slidings when we're going to travel by car. Like, you have to look at it. And also flooding, it's a common trouble. I think that in terms of flooding, what we are missing in the world, not only in Colombia, is the use of more permeable materials for flooring, like concrete, a concrete that really floats. Because we are changing a natural softscape in the whole soil for hardscape, and that has not filtration. So you're accumulating a lot of water, and you don't have where to drain it, and it's creating like more waste and wasted water. And we all need water. So what best that promote water that soil that can receive the water protein and reduce that way erosion, um, slidings, moreover. So it's important to have all this implementation of materials in floorings.
all right. So amazing. I think our discussion is getting so interesting. However, maybe we'll have a very limited time. But I think we got some requests. Valeria, if possible, you can share your materials. And then, Valeria, before I close the webinar, right, maybe you have something to say to all the participants or to all the young millennial architects to encourage them to think more about sustainability and then have more actions in terms of this.
Okay, I will say like the earth is ours. It's our space, and we share with all the animals. We have to be more conscious about this. Like, let's do what we love, but let's do it in a respectful way. Like, every time you do an action, do you think it's contributing for the best of the world? Is it helping nature? Is it helping ecology? Is it helping biodiversity? Is it helping people? Like, think twice with your actions. And like, I feel that all of us has the power to create amazing impact and save the world.
All right. So amazing, Valeria. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for today. To Valeria especially. Thank you to Rida, Nandaka, and all the participants who joined us today on Zoom and on the Facebook. And again, I just gently remind that this webinar is actually supported by ACYA, Arcasia Committee of Young Architects, Indonesia Institute of Architects, Yogyakarta Chapter, and Yogyakarta Young Architect Forum, and also supported by Extalia Hobbies. So just a big reminder for next webinar. We still have, sorry, I was just, all right, this is for next week. So if you time, please come and join us. Next week, we will have a speaker, Nadia Ariska, actually from Indonesia. However, now she's working as UX designer in Singapore in the SEA. This is the main company of Shopee. So actually, this is not about architecture, but I think this will be very interesting too, to know, about the technology, the UX designer, and maybe we will have, we get kind of an inspiration of idea. We're not just doing the traditional thing, but this is the UI UX design is something like, it's trending now, and maybe some of us still not understand what is the UI UX, right? So I think will be interesting next week. So please register yourself here in the website, bit.ly/youngwebinar. We also have a limited capacity, so please do registration as soon as possible. And then, sorry, this one, we also want to remind you again that actually the 6 sessions, which is supposed to be the Architect Rida Razak for the final webinar session, supposed to be in 24th July 2021. However, due to unexpected conditions, so we need to shift to the 31st. But in 24th July, we still have a very talented young urban planner and landscape designer, Yang. He's from China. And we're also supported by a new moderator there, Yile, also from China. So I think this will be also very interesting. So if you already registered yourself before on the 24th July session, you don't need to register anymore. So if you want to register and join for the Rida Razak sessions, please do so. Also come to the website, the bit.ly/youngwebinar, and register for the 31st. However, if you haven't registered for the 24th, you still can register. I think there is some seats left. All right. I think, yeah, so for you who are on Zoom, you can also check the link on the chat box. And also, please wait for the certificate, of course, because we have hundreds participants here. We need to create one by one for the certificate. So please be patient. We will inform you for the future, for the further informations by email and the website also. All right. So before we close, maybe please open your camera. We will do the photo session. All right. Rida, Nandaka, you open. Pak Teddy, hello. All right. Okay, please do open your camera. Okay, I will do the photo session from the first page. Okay, be ready. 1, 2, 3. All right. Sorry, again, yeah. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next one. 1, 2, 3. All right. We still have, okay, one more, okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, so nice. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Valeria. Thank you, Rida. Thank you, Nandaka.
Thank you.
Yeah, stay safe, everybody. Stay safe wherever you are, and please keep the sustainability mind in your head. Okay, I'm Primavera Desta. Thank you so much and see you next week. Bye-bye.